Okay, so today's lesson is going to be, don't strategize from what you're capable of. You can't start to strategize and level up from where we're holding already, because that place is pretty shit, right? We need to ask ourselves what we want to apply ourselves to. Where would we want to see ourselves? We need to start to open this place of creativity. And the way you're going to start to be creative, because I know it's a hard task, it's not an easy thing, like people say, you're going to have to ask the question to yourself. Ask the question. What do you want to apply yourself to? What could you, in theory, apply yourself to? And this is actually exactly what creativity is. Creativity is the place in your brain where all possibilities exist, right? The cerebral dimension where all possibilities exist. You need to start to open up that dimension by asking ourselves the question, what do we want to apply ourselves to? Now, this is still part of the first segment in our lesson, which is we're going to start to imagine things, right? We're going to start to be creative. This is all part of the creativity, which is the first thing we want to do. We want to be able to be creative. We need to watch movies. Watching movies is excellent. The issue with watching movies is when you watch bullshit movies like, I don't know, fucking Barbie, I don't even know what there is these days, but like, you know what I mean? Watch movies of the people you want to be like. Watch superhero movies, kind of cringy, but watch movies like The Gentleman. There's actually a TV show, The Gentleman. That's an excellent movie to watch. It's going to teach you everything you need to know about being different than the rest, being elite, thinking like a G, you know, thinking for yourself, creating your own internal dialogue, not being fazed by anything, right? I'm going to put a list of movies down below that you can watch because I think that's very important. You need to start doing that. And what you're going to start to do is you're going to start to imagine, what does this person look like? What does his physical condition look like? What do his triceps look like? What do his biceps look like, right? And it's an image. It's not like a description that you write down. It's an image that you have in your mind. You're going to start to think, what does he think like, right? How does he approach other people? What is his interactions with other people like, right? And this is the first step. You want to build a character that's kind of not necessarily about yourself because you're in a pretty shit place. So this is the first thing you're going to start to do. And to help you, you can even write this down. Write down a list of 25 things, qualities, traits. Be specific, articulate. So lesson one, or part one to this lesson, is we want to articulate this character of the person that we want to be, right? That's part number one. Now part number two is we're going to have to do something called follow the energy. We have to follow the energy of this character because unlike the way most people think today, life is just a bunch of numbers and equations, which is everything you do has an equal consequence in the universe, right? Everything you do has an equal consequence. So we're going to have to follow the energy of this character. Now that we've built up this character that we're kind of starting to get obsessed with, what are the habits that this character does, right? When does he sleep? Who does he hang out with? What does he eat? How does he train? What does he train, right? And you're going to start to realize that all energies that exist, personalities, can be drawn back to habits, right? The energy can be traced back to specific things. And this is an amazing, beautiful thing about the universe, because everything can be traced back, everything can be created if there's an equation for it already. You just have to start to follow this equation and start to see equations all around yourself. So that's part number two. Now, I want to add a small addition to that list of things that you're gonna imagine about this person, start to be creative. Is this person okay with being by himself? Is this person okay with being in his own skin? And today, in today's society, that's a fucked up thing. You can't be by yourself. You can't be antisocial. Now, I'm not talking about being antisocial, right? You want to be able to carry yourself in a manner that you're able to interact with people, you're able to have fun. But the way you're gonna show your value is often not by just hanging around people and fucking trying to please people, right? You have to create our own value. And this is gonna happen when we're able to and feel comfortable with being by ourselves. It's the most beautiful thing, I promise you. And if you actually look at all these characters that you want to be in the movies, they're okay. I shouldn't say okay. They love. They're good with just sitting in silence. Right? This is something we're going to have to start doing. And it's a beautiful thing. And this is where all our creative energy is going to come from. Now, this thing is going to take a couple days. We want to start to really create this energy and this person, this character. So don't do it all in one day. Ask yourself these questions. Let it hang around, right? The front of your mind. And you can keep a tab, make a tab, write things down. And this is going to start to help you really build this character over a couple of days, a couple of weeks. And you're gonna start to get obsessed with this person. Now that we're obsessed and we're like curious and we've followed the energy of this person, we can start to write down a list of things that this person does. We need to articulate again. So this is number 2. Part number 2 to this lesson is we have to articulate. We must articulate what are the habits of this person. Right? Take a second for that to sink in. What time does he wake up? How does he train? How consistent is he? Yeah. That's part 2. Now part number 3 is the big question. And this is ultimately the point. This is the shifting point where we have to ask ourselves questions, right? So this is the third question you're going to ask yourself. This lesson is all about asking questions. That's how we get places. This is actually how we get answers in life. The way we get answers in life is by asking the question, asking a genuine question and wanting a response from ourselves, right? Wanting a response from the universe, wanting a response from God, right? So the third question you're gonna ask yourself is, what measures am I willing to take to become this person? Do I actually want to become this person? What am I willing to do? How far am I willing to go to become this person? You know, because what's going to happen is you're going to have to be motherfucking consistent. You're going to have to be consistent, right? And we all know that. And I think we all appreciate, all you guys watching here appreciate the values of consistency. Everyone wants to be consistent. The most valued people on the earth are fucking consistent every fucking day. Right? That is the aura you want to live under, consistency. So the question you're going to have to ask yourself is, what measures are you willing to take, right? Are you willing to do anything? Are you willing to do anything? Now, there is a quote, which is, if you show a man how to reach his goals, to how to reach his destination that he wants to get to, because every man has a destination he wants to get to, he will crawl over broken glass on the floor, naked, with a fucking smile. And this is the key here, because the key to this question is knowing that you can find the way and the things to do to get there. When we start out and we're like, how the fuck do I get there? That is when consistency can become an issue. That is when we become phased and we're like, what the fuck am I doing? Why am I getting up at 5 a.m.? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? Everyone's telling me to fucking stop. Everyone's asking me if I'm okay. All this fucking bullshit, right? So we have to know, when we ask ourselves this question, that we can trace everything back to equations, as we said before, and we can do things that will shape this character. These things will shape character. So this comes back to the question we're going to ask, which is, are we willing to take the measures to become this person? Once we know what we have to do, are we willing to do these things day in, day out? Do we actually want to become this image that we've become obsessed with? Part number 3. Okay, so part 4 to this lesson is ignore the noise. Now this is a beautiful thing. It's a tough thing, but it's a beautiful thing. Because you're in a circle of people where they want to see you live up to their expectations of you. And this is all subconsciously, so it's not actually their fault. But this is the reality of the social Ponzi scheme, which I'm going to dedicate a full video to sometime. So what I'm going to get you to do is I want you to understand this concept. Don't practice specifically everything that I say, but understand this concept. Lay back a little bit, right? You don't have to show your face all the time, right? You are fully capable of making your own decisions. You don't have to fucking let people make decisions for you, telling you to be here, be at the club, be at the bar, we're drinking beers, we're being losers, right? You can show your face, lay back, be chill, right? That's what I want you to do. And I want you to, when those moments come in where you get those gains, fucking tell yourself, ignore the fucking noise, right? Everyone is so fucking full of shit, and you know it. Everyone's full of shit. And the way we're gonna ignore the noise is by basically following the momentum of this lesson. Once we know what we have to do to follow this energy of this character, and we start to manifest the energy of this character, and we get that dopamine, right? Ignore the fucking noise. We have to play it back into that mode of being unfazed by our external social interactions and what people fucking expect us to be. That's part number 4. Now, of course, we've got the push-ups over here. So let's get through some. Not bad. Okay, camera's running out of battery a little bit, so we're gonna get through this. Part number 5 to this lesson is a practice, actually. So we've been doing theory till now, or practice as well. You want to write down and keep a journal, kind of, to allow our creativity and to build up this character, right? So part number 5 is going to be minutes of silence. 10 minutes of silence. Now, I would recommend you do this in the evening. You can do it in the morning as well if you want. They're both fine. But basically what you want to do is you want to be around no one, right? Here's a beautiful place. This is a nice place to do it, right? You can do it, go to a specific place, but I want you to get through it. So even do it at home. It's a practice routine. It's something I want you to get used to, right? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna get around when there's no one around, and you can even put a timer on, but 10 minutes, time it. It has to be a frame of time which is dedicated to silence. And what you're gonna do is you are not gonna meditate, no fucking breath work, none of that. Sit in silence, endure silence, right? And what's gonna start to happen is you're gonna start to absorb energy, which means you're gonna start to absorb the information of what is happening, right? What has happened in your day. The creativity might start to trickle in, right? This character that you want to become is going to become visible to you. And I want you to take this time every single day, this practice routine, to absorb information, reconcile things. What are we going to do differently? How are we going to become this character? What are the things that we need to do? Now, I once wrote a beautiful piece of poetry down, which I'm going to share with you. At that time in my life, I was working for my mother. So she's an accountant, she has an accounting firm. I decided to work for her, didn't have any work. And I was kind of at this stage of building this character that I wanted to become. And I wrote the following. Okay, so my camera died as I was reading off my script, my poem that I wrote. So the poem goes like this. Right now I'm in the airport on the way to Sydney, so perfect setting to read some poetry. You can still be stationed at the bottom of a working class hierarchy, working a 9 to 5, stationed in an office with employees, managers, directors, and CEOs, and simultaneously be running an empire where these very working class citizens all play important roles and jobs in manifesting the unfolding creation of your vision. They work for you. And the point I'm trying to make here is we have to change internally first. I'm going to dedicate a full video to changing internally before everything else externally around you changing. But the point here is, if we're able to change the vision, inside of ourselves first, the context is so important. Context, everything has context. Everything becomes an asset and becomes a means to an end for us to use towards our journey, our mission. That's what I wanted to tell you guys about the poem.